an influencer, it gives you the edge that separates you from the competition. The GIP initiative, the Global Influencers Partners Program, is designed to expose you to over 5 billion potential consumers across the world. When you are a rising star in business and you need visibility, reach, impact, client conversion, and cash flow optimization, positioning yourself to become a global influencer may be the ideal tool that you need in your arsenal to win in business. I encourage you to join the GIP initiative and position your business to build confidence, trust, and credibility and cash flow optimize the fastest.
Brand visibility is vital for the success of every business. But what are those pathways to attain the visibility that your business need for success? Well, there are multiple pathways. For example, you have the mass media. And when we talk of mass media, we're talking about the effective use of radio, television, and newspaper. You have social media. There's a broad spectrum of social media platforms that you can leverage to attain visibility. You also have the metaverse. The metaverse, if you're in the developed world, the metaverse is a buzzword. It's big in the developed world. That's another platform that you can use for visibility. In the developed world, if you are looking for visibility and you're not thinking the metaverse, I want to show you, if you're appealing to a young audience, many of them are gravitating to this platform. So these are food for thoughts as a pathway for visibility. Then you have independent communication channel. As you build out visibility, you want to ensure that you can have your independent communication channel, because independent is where you have a direct funnel, a direct contact with the ideal client with less disruption in that process. So there's a whole lot to unpack when it comes to brand visibility. But once you would have moved past this, you now have what we call content design and presentation structure. And this is an important element that you need to consider, because becoming visible is not just about presenting your content across these media platforms. You have to have a design, you have to have a presentation structure, and it is so important to know this. For example, there must be a clear definition of what is presentation structure. This is important. There must also be a clear definition of what is content design, and it's important. So today, among looking at these issues and how leadership plays into this, how project management plays into this, how master planning plays into this, is what we will unpack for you, because we know the importance of visibility for your business and your brand. So today with me in studio, I have a number of dynamic personalities to support me in this conversation on leadership, content production, and brand visibility. So the first person I'm going to introduce to you is no other than Clement Frank. Clement Frank, in the event that you're joining us for the first time, he is an economist by profession. He is a leader by practice and certified leader also. And he is going to be producing his book very soon for you, the audience. Welcome, Frank. How are you? All right. Next, I
Thank you. Good
have,
morning. Good morning to everyone
well,
listening.
welcome. Next, we have Peter Gooscott. And Peter Gooscott, he is the brain behind Legacy Chronicle Human Growth Master Plan. He's the brain that will tell you that if you don't have a master plan for life, perhaps you're not living the life that you were born to live. So he's the guy that would really help you to develop those master plans, to navigate the world of business and to navigate your personal life. Last but not least, I have beautiful Shavani Cedar Ryan. And Shavani Cedar Ryan, she is a project management practitioner with impeccable history behind her. She has worked with multiple sectors, including the oil and gas sector. She is a lecturer and she is a serial entrepreneur because she owns multiple businesses. My guys, I must say it's a tremendous pleasure to have each and every one of you. Welcome, Shivani.
Thank you very much. After that warm welcome, I'm smiling from head to head. I'm good.
That warm welcome was designed to make your day and the week ahead of you.
Good.
You deserve.
Welcome, Shivani. A beautiful day for you too.
Not talking to Peter right now.
I don't like you to ears, you always competing,
Yeah,
What a
I
friend,
know.
Well, I gotta
you
say,
know.
welcome, Shivani.
Gary,
Welcome,
Yeah.
Gary,
welcome.
Gary,
Yes,
Gary.
Frank, I'm
I have
speaking
a
to
lot
you.
of trust to rebuild. I have a lot of trust to rebuild.
All right.
I'm speaking to Frank. Catch the point, right? I'm not talking to Peter.
You can work on it, Peter.
We'll
Work on it.
analyze why.
You gotta work on it. I like hard to get. I like hard to get. You see?
Guys,
Frank is the
guys,
loyal one, right? It don't change. Loyalty, loyalty. Not Peter. Peter had a win
Oh
back,
my
right, Frank?
God.
guys.
Loyalty,
All right.
Peter. Loyalty.
I'm learning. I'm learning.
Mm-hmm.
You gotta you gotta rub shoulder with Frank, man. Frank got his thing down to the T,
Oh
Frank
my
is
God.
experience teaches
I'm telling
wisdom. So
you.
when you look at Frank, is all the experience he has there, man.
Oh boy.
I tell
Mm.
you. Yeah, guys, today we're going to be having a pretty interesting conversation. Today we are looking at leadership, content production, and brand visibility. At the beginning of the program, I did emphasize the importance of brand visibility. Without visibility, uh, the business is dead. Without visibility, the brand is dead. And I emphasize this because very often we see many rising stars in business. They have a business, but then they're struggling in business. And from what we are doing with research is showing that you may have a good business, a good brand, good content. But if that business brand and content is not reaching the ideal client, that great idea that you have, that labor of love can fail, can fall through the cracks all because it is not visible. So today I want us to spend some time looking at how project management plays into, developing strategic plans to help with visibility. I want us to look at the leadership mindset behind content production and brand visibility. I also want us to, Peter, to chime in from the project management, from the master
Yes.
planning standpoint, to really emphasize those essential points, memorable, how to be memorable, and how all of this plays into visibility. But what I will do, I want to lay some groundwork just before I open up the floor. And I want to begin that laying that groundwork by saying that one of the questions you must ask yourself as a content producer is how to become a high impact influencer. As a content producer, and by content producer, it represents several things. If you're producing ads for radio, television, and newspaper, that is a form of content. If you're a podcaster, that's a form of content. It helps you with your personal branding and corporate branding. But the big question here is how to produce or to become a high impact, uh, influencer using these tools. To become a high impact influencer, 8 principles must be learned, apply, and master. And these 8 principles are some of the things that they will learn in what we call the GIP initiative. In the event that you have never heard about the GIP initiative, I want to encourage you to go to this website and you will learn more about the GIP initiative and how they can help you to become an influencer. But let's quickly go through the 8 principles that you want to learn, apply, and master. There are 8 steps to become a global influencer. In this context, we are not just talking about being an influencer in your locale, in your area. Is how you can take this information and leverage this information into becoming a global influencer. So we will talk about these things in that program. Today, I will just examine one of them. Step one, you need to focus a lot on what we call content design and presentation structure. And today I will spend most of my time explaining the very first concept of content design and presentation structure. The the next step is content research and content creation. The content in of itself is not being produced for you. So if you're not researching your ideal client and building content based on that data, uh, you may be hurting your business, your brand potential to scale. The third step is where we look at content delivery and personal branding. And this is so important. Many businesses today, they don't have a personal brand. They may have a corporate brand, but when you understand the importance of having a strong personal brand behind the visibility machine of your business, it really plays a significant role to optimize, cash flow potential of the business. So this program goes into all of that. Step three, you will also learn about content recording and content editing because a lot of work, a lot of focus has to be placed also on the recording your content, editing your content. These are things that may look trivial to the average person, but when you are able to deploy the right information into the production of the content itself, it allows you to achieve greater impact with your ideal client. And when you divorce this and disregard the importance of this, again, you set the stage to undermine the potential to make impact as you set out to build visibility. Content upload is another issue to look at. Uh, Depending on the communication outlet that you're using, it is so important to know this. Because, for example, if you're using, in most cases, when you're using the radio or television or newspaper, you want to identify the best time to upload your content. Because in some cases, when you do not understand the time that your audience is available to look at those content, that's a missed opportunity. A lot of monies might be spent to place ads on these media content, but the time that it is placed in the audience, the ideal client is not available at that particular time. So you need to assess the media outlet. I'm saying all of this because millions and billions of dollars are invested every year for visibility, and most of those monies fall through the crack, not delivering results, not delivering the effects, desired results, because many of these issues are disregarded. So we also need to look at step six, which is content SEO. Optimization and SEO means for to the average person it might sound trivial, but when you understand how algorithm works, you need to really understand this. So the GIP initiative, this is one of the programs that we go deep into to really help the average persons to understand there is a right and wrong way in how you set out to build visibility. The last two concepts that I want to look at is what we call the content promotion, because one might think that, hey, producing content and putting content into social media in of itself is promotion, and that might be far, far from the truth. All right, you may have 1.0% of the population that is producing content and uploading content that may get that promotional benefit at zero cost. For the 99.9% of the rest of the world, who are using social media, you have to have a promotional game plan. And what that is saying, you need to make budgetary allocation to promote your business, to promote your brand, to promote your content across social media. Because if you're not doing this, you're undermining visibility, reach, impact, client conversion, cash flow optimization. Cash flow optimization brings me to the last point. The beauty about some type of communication outlets is that it provides you an opportunity to monetize your content. All right. As a podcaster, you are able to monetize your content. And as a podcaster who becomes now an influencer, who have that global reach, that global span, you are not given an opportunity to just monetize on the platform that you're on, but you're also able to be exposed to multiple streams of income, all of which complements your visibility and make going after visibility fun. Again, the GIP initiative goes deep into all of this to really help the rising star in business to really understand that there's a right way to build visibility and there's a wrong way to build visibility. So when you have the experts on your side, you're better able to make impact. So I'm going to pause here for now. When I come back, I will look at definition of presentation structure and some definition of content design because I want to put a lot of my focus today on content in of itself. I want to come now to Frank to talk to us a little bit about how leadership plays into content production, how leadership plays into brand visibility. I would really love to have your take on all of this because I see that this is also a leadership position. All right. A leader, when you want to achieve an end result, if it's visibility, the leader is that one that's going to say these are the best practices to execute in order to achieve a desired end result. Frank, all to you.
Thank you, Gary. If you want to make an impact with your content, you don't sell, you educate. I'll say it again, if you want to make impact with your content, don't sell, educate. And this is a basis of thought leadership. And taking a thought leadership approach to your content development strategy will set you apart from competitors. It will establish your brand as the authoritative figure in your niche and then create trust between you and your audience. So let's talk about how your brand can benefit from implementing a thought leadership strategy. So what is brand thought leadership? Thought leadership approach to content creation is rooted in educating your target audience. Rather than trying to sell your product or service that you're providing, what you need to do is provide valuable insight to those who are reading. And not only does this content educate them, but it positions you or your brand as the expert on this topic. And I'll just give you a few of the benefits of establishing thought leadership content for your brand. The first is the brand awareness. A good thought leadership strategy will help your brand become the go-to for information within the industry and help you with a brand awareness. This is accomplished through publishing high-quality content and doing that consistently. As more people read and share your content, even more people will discover it. And this cycle brings visibility to your brand and draws in a bigger audience. Then you need to have greater engagement. The content that resonates with your audience will encourage them to engage with your brand. This could be in the form of blog comments or social media instructions, whether liking, sharing, or commenting on your posts. And then it builds trust with your audience. When you provide your audience with content that resonates with them, you will build credibility, you will build trust with them over time, and your brand will become their source of trustworthy information. Ultimately, they will share all of that with their audience, extending that reach of your content. There are a lot of brands that use thought leadership effectively. So, yes, I've discussed what are the benefits, but it won't make sense if I don't share some examples of thought leadership, where you can draw inspiration from the brands and see how you can incorporate these ideas into your brand's content. The first one is the American Express. American Express has geared its business card blog specifically to professionals and business owners. And the information provided is to help audience run and grow its business or their businesses successfully. The blog includes a mix of content types beside blog posts, such as podcasts and videos appealing to various readers. So American Express sends a weekly newsletter targeted towards small business that they label as handpicked inspiration and insights. There's another company called Deloitte. And Deloitte's Insights blog provides content around innovation, technology, and leadership. Like American Express, Deloitte doesn't only provide articles. There are videos and podcasts and a call to action to subscribe to the blog and receive this content directly to your inbox. So Deloitte's blog is sectioned into different areas, which makes it easy to scan and find exactly what you need. There's Microsoft. Microsoft Story Lab serves its audience with insightful stories about its culture, including a look at upcoming projects, the Microsoft hiring process, and accessibility. And so Microsoft Stories is an example of how brands can let their readers into the company's culture, providing an authentic look into the business. And I'll just look at one more, REI. REI's Export Advice is another great example of a brand that is sharing its knowledge with its reader. REI's blog posts content relates to outdoor knowledge, like how to choose the right gear, tips for picking up new skills, and how to fully prepare for your adventures. The blog makes it easy to find the topic you need by categorizing all content on different activities, such as water sports, snow sports, camping, and more. I can at least give you one more that just came to mind, Patagonia. And they have the cleanest line, which they use as their tagline. Some stories to get you out there. Now, this powerful line is a great example of the type of content Patagonia provides for its audience. The blog provides stories about activism, about adventure, nature, and more. And with a visually stunning blog that highlights the brand's articles and content like short films, Patagonia succeeds in showcasing its authentic voice and core values. I'll stop there for now, but when I return, I will show you how to apply a thought leadership strategy in your content marketing efforts. Over to you, Gary.
All right, that was definitely insightful. And what I took away from what you said is thought leadership is not about selling the product, it's about educating the consumer and really allowing them to make an informed and educated decision about whatever purchasing decision that they're going to be getting into, which is very much the pull factors of sales.
which is different than a hard sale. So I find that to be very profound statement, because the last thing you want your customers to feel when you're making that sale is that you're imposing on them. So that was very insightful. I want to come now to Shivani. Shivani is a project management expert. And of course, today we're talking about leadership, content production, and brand visibility. Every business needs visibility. If they don't have a project plan designed to ensure that they are visible, they will not reach the ideal client. If you don't reach the ideal client, you don't make impact. If you don't make impact, you don't get a client convert. If you don't get the client convert, you don't get the cash flow optimized.
Yeah.
If you don't get the cash flow optimized, it means you have a hobby and that business is likely to go under. I want to extract from Shivani the important role that project management plays in the brand visibility ecosystem. Shivani, all to you. You're mute, Shivani. You're mute.
Thanks a lot for bringing me on. So
Welcome.
what I wanted to, I learned so much from what Frank was talking about, right? And I'll come back to talking a couple points with what Frank was saying as well on thought leadership. I love how he mentioned thought leadership. And
Yeah.
that is such an important point. And I look forward to when he comes back in to talk about his strategy for it and how to develop it. So, in terms of project management and content, as most of us would know, coming to this program, and those of us who know about project management, you have the different stages from initiation to closure. And whatever project that you're working on, whether it's for business, IT, HR, whatever project, we all follow the same life cycle, which is initiation, planning, execution, monitoring and controlling, and closing. Now, how important is this content and brand visibility for project management? It's extremely important. Before I can get a project to run, if it's in a business, as we keep talking about here on a daily basis, you need to have funding. Now, when would a funder give me money? Then I have to say it like that, give me money to run my project. Is if I have good content. What is the content that I'm pushing out? Is it that I'm pushing out content that resonates, and I'll call it public private enterprise, right? If I need to get funding from that, they will associate to give funding if it is associated with them something. So you have to research, and I know we were talking about that before we came on live. Are we researching properly to know content and what content we need to put out there in order now to get the funding from different funding agencies, public private enterprise, you may call it as well. I call it that. We call it that in my area. So that's a very, very important point. Now, I have seen we do in project management, if you need to get the funding, you do the most work here, right? You do the most work here, Frank, as you know. You put out your content, you want to tell the best story.
Mm-hmm.
You really look at it, but you get the money. And this is where the project, you would see failure happening down the road, and not seeing how projects can really evolve into so many different things, into successful more projects and more operations. So you get the money, you did a good job, so to speak, in the beginning by telling the good story, you got the funding. You start up the project, you put it in the plan, you're ready to implement, you reach closure. Let's say everything was good up until that point because the money was enough. And you come to closure. You forget that you have to tell lessons learned at the end of that project. Why do you tell lessons learned? It's such an important point to tell lessons learned, at the end of every project, because you want to take that lessons learned now and formulate content for another project. Because if you're in business, it's project to project to project, improvement. You might turn it into general operations. So, what are the lessons that you are taking now from the end of the project? So we may do boring lessons learned report I'll say it like that. Some persons will do very boring lessons learn report. And then you learn nothing, huh? Or you learn a little something to say, okay, well, Frank did a good job, Gary could have do better, and that's all the lesson that you learn. But you're not learning if you're putting it out in good content now, because content is important here.
Right.
In terms of telling the story, have you
Mm-hmm.
used the story, the storyline for influence to get more money for down the road for probably another project or a sub project? What about now learnings? And I discussed this in a class on Saturday afternoon with risk management. We may be only thinking about things being negative. Your lessons learned is very negative. But you may have some positive that could turn into opportunities for new projects. Are we highlighting those things? We might just highlight from beginning to end. So, content management for projects, as I said, I keep seeing it at the beginning. You go into the meetings, you do your pitch. We do lots of nice pitches. You get the funding, and there's no sustainability for the project after closure. So therefore, what can help us is content management and telling stories from the lessons learned that I have seen. So thanks for that, Gary. That's allowing me to talk this way.
All right. That definitely was insightful. I love that you brought in the budgetary allocation for the project execution, because very often you find that in the planning process, you do an excellent plan, but if you divorce budgetary allocation to execute on that plan, there lies a challenge. But I want to also go a little deeper, also, Shivani, into project management and the role that project management can play in the whole aspect of brand visibility. First of all, brand visibility is a project. All right. It's a project. It's a project because it has a life cycle, and that process comes to an end, and you may restart that visibility with different completion criteria in mind. But I just want to give a face to what this will look like in terms of a project. Now, first of all, you want to see your project design. You want to see the project design. Next, you want to ask yourself, the as you design a project for brand visibility, you also want to ask yourself the media effectiveness, because to achieve completion criteria is not only based on the design of your content. You must understand if the media outlet is going to help you to achieve the end results, your completion criteria. So, as a project manager, if you are not thinking through this process and seeing through this entire process, the possibility exists that you have good content, but then when you place it into the media, because it's not the appropriate communication channel, you undermine your entire completion criteria, which means that hundreds of thousands and perhaps millions of dollars would have been wasted in this process. Project management helps you to prevent this from happening. All right. Project management gives you the tools to prevent this from happening. So the next thing that we want to look at here in the project management context is the content delivery. And I will talk a little bit about the content delivery. I guess that you guys may be quite familiar that you see good content in the hands of the wrong people, and it undermines the delivery of that content. So, so there are many moving parts when it comes to brand visibility. It's not automatic. It's an ecosystem that has to be understood. You have to think it through, and you have to ensure that you're deploying all of the right tools to achieve the end results that you want. Because if there's slippages or weaknesses in the ecosystem as you set the stage to get brand visibility, is going to undermine the process. So I take away all of this from some of what Shivani was saying. You want to know what's your content impact. Before you deliver, you want to know it, because if you don't know what results you want, you can't measure it. All right. You want to know it so you can measure it. And you want to look at your content conversion. A lot of what Shivani was talking about also relates to the content conversion. All right. You want to know that visibility is what you want, and with your content and media, is it giving you the conversion that you want? If it's giving you the content target results, it may be giving you conversion, but is it giving you conversion based on the targets that you would have set? So again, there's a lot of work that has to be done when we are talking here about the brand visibility and how project management plays a role into the whole ecosystem. Project management goes even deeper into what it can do as a tool to help the rising star in business to be more clinical in achieving their brand visibility. So I'm going to pause here for now, and I'm going to come across to Peter for Peter to shine into the importance of master planning, the importance of being memorable as you position yourself to elevate the brand in the minds of the ideal client. Peter, all to you. Perhaps you may have a different twist, but all to you, Peter.
Yeah, it's kind of similar, and I appreciate it. The opportunity to communicate these values, and I must continually say to the listening audience, what you have here, if you are here for the very first time, we're going to invite you to stick to this channel because you are getting wealth of information that I had to pick from all different places and then duct tape them together to form, the knowledge that I have today. So if I had a place like this 10 years ago, I would be so much advanced in what we're doing now. But the assignment that we have today is to empower you or listening audience to understand the content, how content production will lead into brand visibility. Um, we want you to understand how to produce quality content so that you will be branded or recognized as an individual of substance, right? So we say individual of substance because from our background, where we're dealing with personal life master plan and the human growth master plan, what we do understand is that individuals, as you represent yourself in the marketplace, or even just as an individual, because everything we have, as I mentioned even last week, that everything that you look around you, we are in a sometimes we package life in terms of business, personal, the various elements that we have to deal with life, but life is one compilation of everything that we have to do with. And so when we look around us as a person, as an individual, as a human, everything that we look around us has a business component to it, because it is serving the human person. It is serving you and how you represent yourself in the using Gary's word, in the various ecosystems of life. So when we're talking to individuals about content and how they develop content, the question that we're asking is how do you become as memorable? How do you remain memorable in the eyes of those you are intended to impact and reach? What is it about you that will cause the individuals that you are reaching, or the individuals that you are attracting to yourself? How do you empower them in such a way where they are, as it were, you are branded in their mind? And as an individual, and even today as we're dealing with that in the context of leadership, the question is, as a leader, first of all, of who you are, representing yourself as a person, That's where the onus is. You representing yourself in such a way whereby your audience and everybody around you will connect with you. Now, there is just three things that I want us to understand, even as we begin to impact or to create that memorable experience that we want people to have. And the first thing is that everybody has a story to be told, right? You have a story to be told. Um, to tell that story, you have to formulate a character, and more likely, you will be that character that you are formulating to tell that story. And as that character who is telling that story, you have a solution, because what is going to make you actually memorable is something that you're actually delivering into your marketplace or into your network. So you have a story to be told, and it is a story that is crafted on a character, and that character is actually you. And that character has a solution. So to take it a little bit more as in terms of content now, and you're going to provide content for the store, because remember, now you're telling a story. So what is the content that you're going to use now to develop that story? What is the content of your story that you're going to tell? So you have to ask certain questions now in the framework of master planning, in the framework of human growth, when we're empowering individuals to be memorable. So the question is, if you're going to be memorable, who are you? What is it about you that is memorable? And when we're asking individuals to define their memorability or to be able to have that impact, we want individuals to look beyond just the what look beyond the titles. Anything that ex, can be changed, anything that your life can do without. For instance, individuals, if you ask them who they are, usually they go into, I'm a doctor, I'm a teacher, I have my doctorate, I'm a mother, I'm a father. But those entities, who are you without that? If you're going to go deeper into that element that is because everybody can say that, yes, I'm a doctor, I'm a teacher, but what is memorable about that? What is that thing that, if you strip away all the fancy things that we put on ourselves, what remains as that characteristic that will cause an individual to feel when they are in your presence? That core value, that identity, that inherent characteristics that will cause people around you to feel a certain way when they're in your presence. When they're in your presence, how do they feel? Do you make people feel loved? Do you make them feel safe? Do you make them feel special? When they are in your presence, when they are outside of your presence, is as if, I only feel that when I'm with that person. What are those attributes about you that cause people to have a part of your persona? And when they are not in your presence, what are they actually saying? Because when you can cause somebody to have that kind of connection with you, then what is going to happen here is what is usually happen. They're going to actually tell somebody else, because now they have experienced something from you that they have not experienced before, or something that it's only you they can get that experience from, and so they will talk about it. Your branding is coming out about. So in essence, what we're saying, so the story that you're telling about yourself, the characteristics that are in that story will cause individual to have that experience. And when you are not there, they will be there to communicate that value so that others will know about that. And in lastly, when we're talking about the branding and of your persona, the other question is that you have to be protective of is, what are people saying about you that is not true? What are the misconceptions that people have about you that are not true? Because you have a responsibility as you are building that brand, as you are defining those content. You want to actually also develop a body of content that will inform people about their misconceptions. And not only that, there are also persons who, even though they know the truth about you, they may not like you. And so they will say things about you that are not true. But you want to develop a body of content that, even though you are may not liked, but you are respected. And so, in essence, we are saying, so the three things that we want to get people to understand, just to actually build that impact, that memorable impact. What is the story? What is your story? There's a story to be told, and there's a character that you're going to mold, and there's a solution that is being sold in your communication that will cause you to be memorable in the eyes and in the hearts of those who are around you.
All right, Peter, thanks. You made a lot of profound statement, and I know you went into a lot, and great share. However, I want to continue by looking at some of the things I promised to look at the beginning of this program, and some of it will tie into some of what Peter would have said. You see, when you want visibility, it's important to recognize that visibility is not automatic, it's not instant. There's a process that you need to understand. So as a leader who's involved in content production, to lead to brand visibility, reach, and impact, you need to understand the process. So I want us to look now at what we call a definition of presentation structure. When you are presenting content, it's important to be aware of your structure. Some structure may be simple and some structure may be complex. For example, a simple structure is to know that you have to have an introduction. You need to have a body and a conclusion. That's a simple structure. It can get complex. We're not going to get into the complexity of presentation structure today, but just to give you an idea in terms of what you need to be looking at when you want to make impact and become what we call a high impact influencer. All of these things that you may consider to be trivial are absolutely necessary to the whole ecosystem of content production, brand visibility. So now that you understand what we call a definition of presentation structure, let us focus a little bit on what we're going to call content design. So you have a structure. How are you setting out to design your content? First of all, the content that you're producing is not for you. I want to say this, it's not for you. So if you are emotionally involved in whatever you're doing and you're producing it from that standpoint, it's all about what you want to do, you're hurting yourself as a content producer. You're hurting yourself as someone who wants to become a high impact influencer. So the definition of content design, there's a couple of things that you must take into consideration, and that is how well you know your ideal client, because the content is being produced for the ideal client. So if you come to that point that you're actually producing content, but the content that you're producing did not take into consideration who's your ideal client, what are the needs, wants, and expectations, what are the pain points, you're going to be missing your target. And in project management, this is something that we're going to evaluate, because There's where you're going to get effectiveness. If you're producing content and you're really not thinking about your audience, you're not going to get the completion criteria. That's going to happen by luck and chance. And the reason we have project management experts is that you want to have targeted, you want to set clear goals, you want to have clear methods to achieve them, you want to have clear systems to monitor and evaluate so you can achieve clinical results. So when Shivani is here as a project management expert, when we are here as business consultants, we have done these heavy lifting. So when you come into us for consultancy, we have done the work, we have done the analysis, we have done all of those heavy lifting so we can make it easier for you. But let's go a step further into analyzing what is content design, because you design your content. While it is so important to understand your audience and who you're designing content for, let's go a step further. How you plan to make impact with the ideal client. As you understand the ideal client, you might recognize that there are many challenges that they are faced with. And perhaps your role is not to fix all of those challenges, but it's to fix a precise area of their life. It might be access to capital and not access to market. Or it might be access to market or not access to capital. Or it might be both. Or it might be human resource development, but you don't want to deal with human resource development. You want to ask yourself, how are you going to make impact? And this comes back to something that Peter was saying, how you want to be known and how you want to be remembered. And these are things that are not accidental. They're not incidental. They're intentional. In the minds of a project managers, we are looking at the entire scope of that project and we're saying, this is exactly what we want to accomplish. And this is how we are going to be accomplishing it. And this is how we want to be known and also remembered. So you're going to be remembered because you understand the ideal client and their pain points. You innovate the solution, you tabled the solution, and at the end of the day, they walk away smiling because you have delivered to their expectations and you have possibly delivered above their expectation. So when you're designing content, you need to focus on all of this, because a lecture in the classroom, your role is not just to pull information from up, down, and center and all around and then present. As a lecturer who is producing content, you're producing content because you want the desired end results from your student population. All right? And it's not just about collecting the information and just presenting. There's an artistic approach in how you're going to present, because you need to take into consideration as a content producer, someone who's delivering content, that everyone in that classroom, they have a different learning style. And this is why I said at the beginning, get to know your audience, because each one of them may have different learning style. And if your style is a one-track approach, you might have 50, 60, 75% of your student base that is not following you because you didn't take that into consideration. So when we say take time to know your ideal client, there's so much that goes into it. All right. So you see, when we are working with you to help you to achieve your brand visibility, the same principle applies. You may be reaching a specific demographic, but to reach the collective, they may have different psychographic impulses. And if you don't know it, it's a missed opportunity to position your brand and make impact and convert and cash flow optimize, because you did not take all of these factors into consideration. So let's push on a little further. So you understand these two basic things. You understand now what is presentation structure and what is content design. There are many other things that I have here to share with you, but I know that I cannot go into all of it today. But let me quickly, before coming over to Frank, let me quickly examine a couple of things. let's go back to presentation structure. We talk about the introduction, we talk about the body, and we talk about the conclusion. Let me give an example on introduction. You want a strong introduction, but what exactly is a strong introduction? A strong introduction is a high impact statement. Again, this is not by accident, it's by design. What exactly is a strong impact statement? A strong impact statement can be, for example, market research is like a high-powered weapon. Whether it's a logical expression or not, guess what? It arouses attention. Even as it arouses attention, as a skilled communicator, the statement is not for everyone. You're speaking to a specific demographic because you understand the demographic psychographics. So you know exactly, because this is deep psychology, but because you understand your demographic psychographics, you know exactly how to coin high impact statement to relate to them. Let me go a little further into expanding on this statement. So the statement is, market research is like a high powered weapon. Why? It works to your advantage and it works against you. And let me go into some of this just a little bit for you to get a more graphic understanding of what I'm saying. When you divorce market research from content design and presentation structure, it's like aiming a high-powered weapon at your head. You do not know the ideal client. You don't know their needs and their wants and their pain points, their expectations. You don't know this. You do not know their pain points, but there you are producing content. You have pulled the trigger that aims towards your head. You have died 1,000 deaths because you divorce market research from content design and presentation structure. Just an example. Let me break this down just a little bit more before handing over to Frank. When you're designing content, presenting content, and you want to become a high impact influencer, it requires work. This is where the labor of love lies. Take the time to understand your ideal client. So when you're speaking to them, you know that you're making impact because you understand them at a deeper level. What this statement is really saying is that if you're attempting to sell, if you're attempting to make impact, if you're attempting to become a high impact influencer, and you don't know your ideal client and how to produce content to speak specifically to them, it's just like if you're in the middle of the sea with your boat and you take that machine gun, that high-powered weapon, and you shoot in the surface of that boat. What's going to happen is going to sink. And that's what you do when you divorce yourself from market research. It's like you're taking the high-powered weapon and you're aiming it at your head and you're pressing that trigger. You've died 1,000 deaths. Because you don't have information, you're going to fail because you don't have the information to help you to make informed and educated business decision. You don't have the information that's going to guide you to become a high impact influencer. I'm going to pause here for now. I'm going to pass control to Frank. But time flies when you're having fun. But I just want to say just before Frank takes over, we have spent many, many years researching, developing this content that we are presenting to you. Why? Because we want you to win. So don't go out there say you're doing business with a high-powered weapon aimed at your head. You don't have the information. Shivani is here as an expert to help you to develop that process. Frank is here as an expert to help you to develop your concept. Peach is here to help you to develop your master plan. The collective, we are here to give full support to rising stars in business to ensure that you win. Frank, you're mid, Frank. Frank, I'm not hearing you.
Sorry about that.
Oh, yeah, I'm getting you now.
You hear me now?
Yes, my friend, I'm hearing you.
Yeah. I will just share how to apply thought leadership strategy in your content marketing efforts. Uh, in order to establish your brand as a thought leader, you need to understand what are the core challenges of your audience and to understand how to solve those challenges. This is why a good thought leadership strategy begins with market research. Once you understand the audience's needs, you can move forward with creating your content marketing plan. And in doing so, you have to remember that people consume content in different ways. Some prefer to read in-depth articles. Now, others would just watch a quick video or listen to a podcast. In order to meet the various needs of your target audience, it is important to provide a mix of content. And an effective content strategy will include a mix of blog posts, videos like webinars or how-to videos, and then you have white papers and ebooks. You need to take advantage of the power of social media and share this content with followers while you encourage dialogue. You can take it a step further by pitching content to industry publications, and this will further establish you as a thought leader by showing that other experts see you as an authoritative voice in the industry. And it will also get your brand in front of a larger following, resulting in greater reach and more visibility. And because of time, you need to establish a following of loyal readers with content. So, establishing your brand as an expert in the industry with thought leadership content is not an overnight solution. It takes time and consistency. It also demands that you continually listen to the market and, as much as possible, fast as possible, understand the needs of your audience and how the audience evolve. Now, once you've done your research and you know the types of content your target audience is looking for, you'll be able to create a thought leadership content strategy that will keep readers coming back. You need to connect with a content strategist to get started and do it today. So we're here to help you with that. Over to you, Gary.
All right. Thanks for that share, um, Frank. Now we're going to start to look at some wrap up remarks. Time really flies. I want to start with Peter, and you can chime in and then you can give your closing remarks, and then I'll come across to Shivani, and then I'll come back to Frank. You're mute, Peter.
Yeah, all right. So what we can, as we're dealing with leaders and leaders who are developing the essence of um, developing content as a business leader, as an individual or an entrepreneur, and you are seeking to be branded in the marketplace, from our context of master planning. So we like to ask questions, because if you ask enough questions, then you will have what the Gary mentioned. your content design. Your content design is going to, because sometimes you're starting out, and where do you actually make your mark to expand? So we empower individuals with questions. If you ask the right questions, you will arrive at the right solution,
Destination.
right answers, whatever it is that you're seeking to have. If you ask enough questions, you'll get the answers. So the question is, what is the content of your life? Because from our when we're asking individuals in the Human Growth Master Plan program, and we're getting individuals to write your story, right? Because your story, Shivani mentioned about your story. What is your story? What is the content of your story? If it is a business, what is the content of your story? If it's a product, what is because everything carries a story. So, what is the content of that story? And when you begin to analyze and just write out the answers that you are, it is going to, then you can begin to, as I mentioned, begin to create your design. So the one takeaway that I'm going to ask individuals as they're listening to this program, just ask questions, because sometimes you will meet run into a roadblock. Just begin to ask questions, and as you ask questions, those questions will lead you to the solution, the answer that you want to have, so that you can now begin to plan, so that you can begin to design and begin to really manage the information that you want to convey, whether it is about yourself, whether it is about your product, your service. And it will make you, asking questions will make you knowledgeable, and it will also gives you the appearance also in the eyes of those persons who are looking to you as the that person that they're going to like and trust, that they will gravitate to for the solutions that they're looking to, the questions that you're able to provide, from the answers that you ask, will attract people into the product and the service that you have to deliver.
All right, thanks for sharing, and Peter and Shivani, all to you. Your thoughts and your closing remarks.
Thanks, Gary. So, project management, as you also mentioned, content itself, your development of your content is a project. So, in different environments, whatever environment you're in, you have to look at this as a project as well. What is your content management strategy? Your thought leadership, everything that we were saying here, it is all a project. How do you do it from beginning to end? These are projects. So, it's the entire ecosystem. So, yes, I'm speaking about it from the point of you already have a project and how do you do content within the project. But these are different spin-off projects that could come out of it as well, right? When you look at the project that you're running, and then you're saying what are some of your weaknesses and what you need to grow with. So let's take thought leadership and develop that now as a project from beginning to end for the particular project. And then you could also look at content management as a separate project. Now, all of these things are excellent now because I could have looked at it probably as an activity within the project. However, depending on how large the project is, it may need to become now a sub projects in terms of content and thought leadership. But what I want to leave with project management, depending on how large this project, whatever project that I'm running, content management and thought leadership can be specific activities within the project. Or if it is so large, then I evolve it into different projects and you manage it from beginning to end in that way. So, you have to analyze. It's not one size fits all for everything, right? And that's what we're talking about here. My last point, and I think this is such an important point coming out of Frank as well, Peter as well, in terms of stories. And I mentioned it at the beginning, but as a project manager, there are skills that are lacking that we need to develop more if we want to really see projects sustained and move on to become program management, and you look at it as portfolios as well. The hierarchy is lessons learned need to be improved. Lessons learned needs to be improved. You need better content around it. You need to develop it using the storyline approach. And there are many different ways to tell your story. Are you telling it in a narrative? Are you telling it as a visual? How are you telling your story? And listening to a story really now helps the person to associate with your brand, right? And that's what you want. So you don't want to tell a story at the beginning. You want to tell a story throughout. Now, there are different technology tools that can help us to tell the story. I love to use Power BI for it in project management. So when you analyze reports that you have and you analyze, and I look at it, I say, but wait, these things could be improved so differently now. The use of tech, the use of social media, and that's how you evolve content, because content cannot be static. If I had produced a piece of content 10 years ago and I look back at content, the way that I have to present it now needs to be different. If you are presenting it the same way, it's not going to resonate with me because there was nothing evolved from it. That's just my closing remark. So much more, and we'll talk about it as we go forward. Thank you.
Yeah, great share, Sir Shivani. Shivani, earlier you spoke about lessons learned. And as you spoke about that particular topic, I recognize that, project management is such a deep subject. And I want to say this, sometimes when you hear lessons learned, document lessons learned, one might want to say, all I'm documented is some of the negative experiences. But lessons learned can be something that went well, a project that went pretty well. But then you're asking yourself, could I execute on this project faster? All right. So lessons learned could be a range of different things. So I just wanted to add that piece based on what you would have said, Shivani. Frank, all to you, your closing thoughts and closing remarks.
Yes, Gary. It's no secret that as a brand, you need to establish credibility in order to attract and retain an audience of qualified potential customers. And unless you've been in business for a while and have tons of positive customers interactions to fall back on, establishing brand credibility for new customers may prove difficult. So how exactly do customers get to know your brand ethos, and how can you show them why they should trust you? And here's where thought leadership comes into play. And we've been talking about thought leadership. I don't remember saying what it is, but thought leadership content is information from the experts who have shown measurable experience in a given industry or topic. It is leveraged by any brand who wants to establish themselves as an authoritative source for the information their audience finds valuable. Demonstrating thought leadership in your content marketing has a plethora of benefits. And because of time, what I would say is that the sources of or high quality thought leadership content is: one, counter narrative opinions; two, personal narrative; three, industry analysis; fourth one is data storytelling; fifth is licensed content. And then there's steps to take when building a thought leadership strategy and plan. One is identify your audience, identify where your content gaps are, analyze your competitors, brainstorm content ideas, define your KPIs, develop measurable goals. And this is important also: create an editorial calendar, implement content licensing for a more holistic approach to your strategy, and finally deliver valuable content. Thought leadership marketing is important for a number of reasons, because it engages readers and can cultivate brand loyalty. And so, as we look further into thought leadership on another thing, I'll give some ideas why is it important and how you can run with thought leadership so that you can establish your brand. You can create better content for your branding. Thank you very much.
All right. Thanks again for your thoughts, Frank. I want to thank the viewers who are viewing this program from across the world. And I want to thank the many hundreds of persons who are making comment to express how the value that they're getting from these programs. I definitely, your feedback is necessary, is important, and I want to let you know how much we value the time that you're taking to listen and to also give feedback. And for those persons who have not yet subscribed to the program, I want to encourage you to subscribe. And we have today over 25,000 new subscribers over the last month and a half. And I want to thank you for that. And that only represents perhaps about 10% of the persons who are viewing these programs. So the 90% who are viewing but you're not subscribing, I want to encourage you to do subscribe and to the program. Remember to like, subscribe, and share, and you will be the first to get these programs that we bring into you on a regular basis. Now, before I leave, I must say that today's program came to you with a kind compliment of Habits and Money, and Habits and Money will now appear on screen. This is a website, and when you go to habitsandmoney.myshopify.com, you will be able to see more that is being done. But just let me scroll the front page here a little bit for you. Some of the programs that Habits and Money, they're offering is 1 Degree to Success. 1 Degree to Success is a beautiful program. It really helps you to position yourself for success in business and in wealth creation. So I encourage you to take some time, go to the website that is on the screen right now, habitsandmoney.myshopify.com, and peruse this. When you get to this video, this page, you can also click on this icon here, and a video will come up to help you to learn more about this website. Now here you have me, this handsome looking guy. Hey guys, stop laughing at me. Now, with that, you have another program which we call the Cash Flow Incubator. The Cash Flow Incubator, this again is for business leaders. You may have a business and you may be cash flowing quite comfortably, but what is wrong with more cash flow? Well, we're going to show you smarter ways, better ways to cash flow. And guess what? You don't even have to allocate much of your time to these streams of income that we're going to be showing to you. This is for business leaders, and it is for the average Joe who wants to cash flow optimize. So you have those options available to you. So go to the site habitsandmoney.myshopify.com, and you can learn more about this program. Again, you have a video here that you can simply press on to learn more about what the program presents. Moving on, the last program I'm going to come to now is what we call the GIP Initiative. With the GIP Initiative, this is a super program. What GIP means? It means the Global Influencers Partners Program. And we want to partner with businesses. We want to help businesses to build their personal brand. And we want to put your personal brand, your influencers on global platforms where you're able to interface with not just hundreds or thousands, but billions of potential consumers. We can put you on those platforms to help to bring visibility to your business and your brand. So again, the high net worth, today's program, Business Bootcamp, has been sponsored by Habits and Money. And we definitely want to thank Habits and Money for investing in the learning of people across the world. And if you want to know more about these programs, I do encourage you to go to habitsandmoney.myshopify.com, and you can learn so much more there. I want to thank my team. I could not have done this without my team. We have Peter Scott. He is a strong, mighty man of God. He's not a religious person, but he believes in a creator, and he believes in human transformation and human reaching their full potential through self-actualization. So he's the kind of person that will really fight for you to ensure that, you are in tune with your great potential to achieve greatness. I want to thank Shivani. Shivani also is a very dynamic personality. She is very committed to project management. She has a deep love for project management, but she does all of this because she has a tremendous, care for people. And her way in serving people is to ensure that they really understand project management and how to apply this to optimize success in their businesses. And I really want to thank her for taking the time out for being here today. We could not have do this without you. I also want to thank Frank. Frank is, a great guy and background rich in economics and also in leadership. So I really, really, learn a lot from everyone here when you begin to speak. You bring your different perspective on leadership. And Frank, I can't wait to get that book very, very soon. But Frank is now on the pathway of becoming a rising star as an author, a best-selling author. Claim it, I say best-selling author, not just an author. So I can't wait to get my head on that book. So I want to thank you guys for being here today. It's always a pleasure having you guys. All right, so we'll do this again tomorrow. And for those who are in the Caribbean, I know Guyana, I want to say happy Pagua. We have Easter. We're in the Easter season. And, we're going to be flying the kites one way or the other. So I'll see you guys tomorrow. You do enjoy.